down to Biscayne.
Yeah, 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the flow playing, got it all band. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, inspired have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Welcome back to the latest 5 on the Floor live postgame show. I am your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, we have Sean Rochester. You can follow him at S Rochester NBA. We also have Brian Fonseca. You can follow him at Brian Fonseca NY. We are going to dissect the Miami Heat's unfortunate, kind of lethargic, not what we expected, 109-94 loss in Game 3 of the NBA Finals on their home floor. A lot to unpack here. It was not the best of games. There were some things that I liked, but there was not enough of them. So we're going to talk about that stuff. But before we do, we want to get into telling you guys, one, shout out to Manny Chang on the ones and twos, and to the primary sponsor of all of our post-game shows, and that is Aggressive Insurance, insurancebyLynette.com. The broker agency that's been servicing South Florida for over 15 years, offering auto, homeowners, condo, life insurance, retirement programs, notary service to all clients, representing all the leading insurance carriers throughout South Florida. So if you have a bad driving record, no problem. No driver is refused. Free phone quotes. The website is insurancebyLynette.com. Reach out. You can find her on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. She's probably in the comments here. Check her out, 954-581-8800. Again, that's 954-581-8800. Aggressive Insurance, insurancebyLynette.com. All right. So we're not going to sugarcoat this one. Denver, kind of wall to wall, had control of this game. The Heat didn't shoot well, but neither did Denver. That didn't matter. The rebounding disparity was disgusting, 58-33. That's not going to get it done. Bam Adebayo had a good game, 22 and 17, despite being inefficient. They needed that from him. Jimmy Butler was okay, 28 points, 4 assists. No steals. That tells me he's not being the Jimmy Butler that we all know and love. The Jimmy Butler that's getting pick sixes, as Brian Fonseca has so fondly coined. Gabe wasn't good enough. Max wasn't good enough. Kevin Love wasn't good enough. Caleb wasn't good enough. Nobody was good enough. Brian, I'll start with you. Instant reactions to Game 3, a game that Miami squanders. Coughs back home court back to Denver. Jokic goes crazy in terms of he basically, with 32, 21, and 10. Jamal Murray also getting a triple-double with 34, 10, and 10. This was something else between those two. The two-man game is unbelievable. What the hell is Miami going to do against that two-man game?
Hard to win a game when you let two guys get those kinds of triple-doubles. Hard to win a game when you get out-rebounded 58-33. Hard to win a game when your role players shoot 34% collectively, 16 of 47. A lot of this is going to be like magnifying Bam and Jimmy, right? Bam and Jimmy made 18 of your 34 field goals. I think in a vacuum, like while Bam shot 7 of 21, the activity, the rebounding, it's 17 rebounds, I think 7 in the fourth quarter. The free throws, like he was able to get to the line or whatever, like those two gave you enough. Nobody else gave you anything else. I think if guys just shot better early on, you're looking at this differently. If they withstood the third quarter in the way that they didn't, I thought that Eric Spoelstra could have probably had a quicker hook for Max Strus, quicker hook for that lineup in general. Kyle Lowry, we'll see, because he seemed to get hurt at the end of that game. But like, if you look, it's a lot of just guys that weren't giving you enough. Bam and Jimmy gave you more than half your points, more than half your field goals. Ultimately, they did, even though it wasn't the most efficient performance from them, they did what they had to. Like, it's hard to be efficient in the playoffs. It's hard to be efficient in the NBA Finals, especially when the shooters around you, because this team is Jimmy, Bam, and shooters, essentially, right? They're not hitting shots. And you lose a game where, yes, you shoot 31% from three. This isn't the Boston Celtics, right? Like, you can muddy them up in a different way. Denver's offense is much more fluid. Denver only made 5 threes. They were 5 of 18 from three, but they were killing you from the inside, getting anything they wanted.
Awful.
From about 15 feet in, points in the paint killed you, rebounds killed you. So, look, if that's going to happen again, then yeah, you're not going to win another game this series. But what you need is for guys to just hit shots. Felt like they got to their looks early. They didn't fall, and then they went away from that, got really stagnant in the third quarter to the point where it looked ugly. That's the ugliest looking quarter that they've had in a while, these playoffs. And that's what really did them in.
So there was a lot of ugly basketball played. Kyle Lowry, I see in the comments, people are saying enough of him. Cody Zeller, people are saying enough of him. Sean, Haywood Highsmith. I feel like everybody thinks that this is the natural way that Spo would have leaned in. He didn't quite do it to the extent that I think most of us expected. This is where this is heading, right? There's no other way to go with this Jamal Murray conundrum playing against Jokic with this two-man game is to get Haywood Highsmith more involved, right? I know I'm simplifying it, but like in terms of like what else can they throw? They've thrown the kitchen sink. So now it's Haywood Highsmith next to the kitchen sink, right?
I mean, obviously, it's not fair to Haywood to think that he's going to be the solution to stopping Jamal Murray, and I don't think that's what you're saying, but he is a solution that can slow him, that can make him work. We've seen him do that with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, others. His length and his strength that he has. I thought, and we talked about this in playback, it was a great opportunity in the fourth quarter when you were down, let's say 15, to insert him, sort of like when you put a shooter in to try to get a rhythm going. Duncan Robinson got a rhythm going in the fourth quarter. You insert Haywood in order to take away a rhythm from Murray and to show, can he do that in the next few games? I would like to see it. And ultimately, though, it's going to take 5 guys on the floor playing together, team defense, different coverages, because you can't just walk out of the gym with, what did Murray and Jokic combine for? Like,
I don't even want to say it. Brian, go ahead.
I'll tell you. They combined for
66, 20,
31
66,
rebounds.
31, and 20. That's insane. You have to take away something from those two guys. Otherwise, they're just too good and they'll beat you.
Both shot over 50% also. On top of that.
Well, the other thing is Miami's defense. Like, this series has to be about Miami creating turnovers, making those turnovers become offense, and the defense was leaky. And if you have a leak and you don't know where it's coming from, you know where to go. You got to go to Water Cleanup of Florida. 954-579-0356 for immediate assistance. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, their entire team are prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues. That's Water Cleanup of Florida. After the leak has been located and found, Water Cleanup of Florida is fully licensed. They will come in and they can restore the entire area. They're certified. It's a one-stop shop. Service areas include Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Call Michael anytime on its personal cell, 954-579-0356. Again, that's 954-579-0356. The website you see here is wcufl.com. Again, I'll repeat that again, wcufl.com. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. This was the other big takeaway, Brian. The others, when we talk about these two teams, Christian Braun, biggest game of the series, 15 points on 7 of 8 shooting. Aaron Gordon, 11 and 10 and 5 assists. Like, teams that win game 3 of a 1-1 NBA Finals go on to win 80% of the time. And I think that they've regained home court advantage. They feel like they can go back in position to get a 3-1 lead. But Miami can make some adjustments here. But the other guys got to play better. What do you think we can expect going forward? Just looking ahead slightly to game 2, but also from what you saw tonight from these guys, because I'm starting to think, is Max going to be played out of this series? And what do you project going forward? Because tonight the others for Denver completely outclassed Miami.
Look, if you're gonna try to hang with Jokic and Murray doing that, ultimately you have to hit shots. So whoever's gonna hit shots, they need to have the longest rope. Today, that was virtually nobody, right? Except Duncan Robinson late. And I would like to see more Duncan Robinson, less Max Strus, if Strus is gonna get off to another rough start next game. Duncan Robinson needs to be out there if Max Strus is just like, if he's bricking his first three, like he missed those first 3 shots, 2 threes. One was the air ball and then the layup to start the third quarter. And that it's almost like that set the tone for what was about to come. I don't want to put that all on Max Strus, but you get what I'm saying. Like they never recovered from that stretch, it appeared. And then you look at others like Gabe Vincent, he was out of sorts from the get. They called some bad fouls on him, just never fully recovered. 2 of 10, 1 of 6 from 3. Wasn't able to get to the spots that he normally does. Didn't hit shots. Tried to get a foul late. Didn't work. Same one that he got early on. Didn't seem like the Gabe Vincent that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the course of this playoff run. And then Caleb Martin, he had that 8-point stretch, which was within like a minute or 2 minutes. It was very quick. It was in the second quarter. But outside of that, he didn't give you a ton, right? Like he, tried on the defensive end, gave you some versatility there, but offensively, there was some shot creation during that stretch, made 2 threes, was able to get to the lane, find Bam for a nice pass in that quarter as well for a dunk, but he didn't give you enough either. And Kyle Lowry, I didn't think he gave you enough either.
No,
and he's got a long rope. But Kyle, I think, hurt you in this game and also picked up 4,000. We don't even know if he's going to play next game because of the injury late. We'll get more information on that. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's an oversimplification, right? But you need guys to hit shots, and whoever's going to hit shots is going to have to stay out there because otherwise, it's like, what are we talking about? Because the reason this team has been able to go on this run is because not only because of the 3-point shooting, because it's not like, oh, they just got hot from 3. They have the process to get those shots, and they were doing that early on and then kind of went away from it. They were 5-14 from 3 in the first half, which is actually not a bad percentage for a team, right? But this team needs to be at 40+%. Otherwise, they're not going to survive the Jokic and Murray constant avalanche. And after going 5 of 14, they were 6 of 21 the rest of the game, which is bad.
That is tough. And I see in the comments here, people are talking about Tyler Hero. To give an update there, I don't expect him to play. I think that initially some of what he was doing on the court was encouraging, but ultimately I don't expect him to get any run. If something changes, we will let you know there. But at this point, I don't think that that's something that to bank on. I do think that Gabe Vincent started out this finals playing so well, and he did not have a good game tonight. He quickly picked up back-to-back fouls with 8:51 remaining in the half and had to sit. And that was a big, that you start to get out of the flow of the game. I expect Gabe Vincent to bounce back big time. Sean, if there was a player looking ahead to game 4 that you think would be vital for Miami to bounce back in your eyes, who's the guy that you're looking at closest? For me, it's Gabe Vincent without a doubt. For you, who are you looking towards?
Well, I really think it has to be one out of the 3 of Love, Vincent, and Strus. And we've talked about all of them besides Kevin Love at this point. When you look at the bench, Robinson had 9, Caleb had 10. It's not all about scoring, but like they were good enough. 19 points for those 2 off the bench. The Nuggets only had 24 points off the bench, 15 from Christian Braun or Brown or however the heck you say his name. You look at the rest of their guys. If Denver lost this game, hypothetically, you got 64 from those 2 stars, 11 from Gordon, 2 from Michael Porter Jr., who has played bad for 3 straight games, and KCP had 6. Like, we got beat by really 2 guys. I just, that's the way I think you got to look at it. The guys that have to step up, it's not about Caleb. It's not about Duncan. I don't think I would pull Strus from the starting lineup, but he's going to have a short leash. I would agree. I think it's Gabe, just because Love is only going to play a limited amount of minutes, so his impact is going to be smaller than a guy like Gabe. I do think it is definitely Gabe Vincent, and he had an unfortunate stretch tonight. I think 2 of those fouls that were called on him were probably questionable, and then he got a quick third one when they put him back in right before halftime. So if he plays well, I think because he can get into the mid-range and he can defend, and obviously he has a tough task against Murray, but if all those things work out for us, Gabe Vincent gives us a good chance to win.
Brian, quickly from you, the player that you think is most instrumental in them bouncing back in game 4, and then we're gonna do one more ad. I have a couple questions to close. We'll take a couple comments and get out of here. But I'm just interested to see if I say you can't take Gabe, who are you leaning into?
Am I allowed to take a star, or does it have to be a role player? It has to be a role player, right? If it has to be a role player, I would say Caleb, because I think what you really need to cash in on is these paint touches and not fading away when you get there, right? Because there's been a lot of that, and actually going up strong and trying to put Jokic in foul trouble.
You were going to say Jimmy, weren't you?
No, I was going to say Bam, because like Bam, I want to say Caleb really, because Caleb is somebody who, like, if it's going to be Max, it has to be shooting. If it's going to be Duncan, it has to be shooting. If it's going to be Kyle, to some degree, it has to be shooting. And I'm not sure if it's going to be Kyle, right? Gabe was already mentioned, and Caleb is somebody who has more offensive versatility comparatively, because you saw it last series in the Eastern Conference Finals, what he was able to do, not just from 3, but also driving, pulling up from mid-range, getting to the rim, actually finishing, drawing some contact, finishing through contact sometimes, right? He doesn't get to the free throw line a ton, but he can get to those spots in a way that other guys can't because of his athleticism, and he's taking advantage of guys now feeling like they have to close out on him because he can hit some 3-pointers. And I think Bam and Jimmy also need to and Jimmy tried it. They didn't give him some calls early, but Jimmy tried it. And look, at the end of the day, he shot almost 50% from the field. I think it was 11 for 24. Like, he was efficient from the field, even though it didn't look pretty, right? But he was able to get in there. But you have to take advantage of those opportunities in the paint, go up strong, and really put pressure on that Denver front court. Nikola Jokic in particular, because one of the ways that you'll be able to beat them is if you get Jokic in foul trouble. You can try to do that, right? And Bam, I love the aggression early, but there has to be a little bit more physicality and less finesse. You bail them out sometimes when you shoot your fadeaway. You have to be able to get closer to the rim. If it's a post up, you got to seal hard within 6 feet away. Try to put your body on somebody, get to the free throw line, finish through contact, whatever, but more pressure underneath the basket. I think you need to cash in on those opportunities, and that also opens up your shooting, so you'll be able to get some looks off of that.
Yeah, and to that last point, that 28% of their attempts came within 4 feet, so not very good. And Brian's point was, even if you don't get the attempt, you're going to get opportunities to spray it out to shooters, and only good things can come from that. But at the rim, and you were talking about this with Caleb Martin, 34.8% field goal percentage within 4 feet of the rim. That's not good when you shoot that from behind the arc. If you shoot that within 4 feet, that is not good. Those are all from cleaning the glass. You just have to be more effective, and you can do that with your actions on the outside, getting downhill, putting pressure on them. We went into this series, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denver was not supposed to be good at protecting the rim, right? Am I missing something?
They're supposed to be the worst defense that Miami's seen in the playoffs.
That's the profile, yeah.
Not a bad defense, but the drop off from the Celtics and Bucks in particular.
Yeah.
3 straight games we've struggled at the rim, getting attempts and finishing, and it's kind of mind-boggling. But Brian, and I know Greg's going to go to an ad read. Brian, who's coming down the hill? Who's at the Dania Ale House tonight, getting ready for Game 4? The head official. What's his name?
The extender.
Tell him, Brian. Tell him.
Scott Foster.
The extender. You can. I
Is that-
guarantee he's going to be the official for Game 4.
Yep.
Is that an official Sean Rochester prediction here on Five on the Floor?
Oh, it's
Live?
mine as well, because look, he has to officiate now so that they can keep him for a potential Game 7. That's why Tony Brothers was in
Correct.
today. That's why Scott Foster will be the official.
Y'all got this
the
mapped
game
out.
within the game, baby.
Well, there's other games within games, and that is the daily fantasy partner of 5 Reasons Sports and 5 on the Floor. That is Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com or download the app. It's daily fantasy simplified. Use the code 5 FIVE. That'll get your initial deposit matched up to $100. You can play NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL. You can do flex plays, power plays, went up to 10 times your money. I do all kinds of crazy stats because now they're doing like points in the first 6 minutes, field goal attempts in first 3 minutes, all kinds of fun stats. But you got to use the code 5 FIVE to get your initial deposit matched up to $100. Again, that's Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, daily fantasy simplified. So I'm going to close here and say Mike Malone made adjustments of some kind. Some people in the comments have blamed Eric Spoelstra. So, Brian, first, is this on Spo? How much of it is on Spo? And do you think Michael Malone deserves credit for outdueling Eric Spoelstra in Game 3?
No, this is the only thing I could say about Eric Spoelstra's game today is I thought that there should have been like a quicker hook for some guys in the third quarter, as I already mentioned, but I don't think that's on Spo because he's not out there trying to hit jumpers. Was a little bit thrown off that he showed up to the game with a haircut and clean shaven. I was like, they're in a playoff series. You kind of got to look rugged. You know what I'm saying? You saw what Jimmy was doing in the bubble, out here just looking all crazy and shit. And he had 2 triple doubles. So I'm watching that to see if it affects his coaching game. But in all seriousness, no, I don't think this was on Eric Spoelstra. I think ultimately your guys have to hit shots. Like I didn't think that the execution was there, but is that really on the coach if the players don't execute in at this time of year where they were doing that? I just think honestly, and part of this too is like we have to look at it from this perspective. Denver just beat them, and Denver is supposed to be the better team. They play like it today. They're 2 stars in particular. They beat them up and down. They out executed them. They got to their spots very easily, killed you from inside the arc. Only hit 5 threes, only shot 18, but didn't need to because they were just getting whatever they wanted 16 feet in the paint, killing you with rebounds, second chance points, just fundamental basketball shit, man. And I don't think that stuff is on Eric Spoelstra. It's just really like Denver just beat you, and sometimes that's going to happen over the course of a series. I thought Bam and Jimmy gave you enough, even though it wasn't pretty, wasn't ideal. 18 of 45 as a tandem isn't tremendous, but they gave you enough so long as your shooters hit shots. That's kind of the formula. Shooters didn't hit shots. It is what it is. You lost.
Yeah, I think some are saying no Haywood Highsmith. And also, Sean, did you notice eye test wise? I don't know if you had the chance to review data and don't go searching. Did he play less zone tonight than usual? Do you think
it definitely seemed?
It felt like
definitely seemed that way. Yeah. And who knows if that would be the solution, but it in theory should make it harder for that two-man game to work. I think Brian's point about defense is what I was thinking because I thought Brian was going to naturally go with the offensive side, so I was going to try to go the other way. But I think honestly it starts on the defensive end. And, you look at the pure number to hold Denver to 109. I think they've held them 108 or less in all 3 games, which is,
I know,
it's good in theory, right? If you would have told us that going into the series. But this is also the second time in a row, second time out of 3 games that they've been below 30% from behind the arc, and we've still lost. Game 1 and 3, obviously. That's not good. And that's a product of what Brian said. They're getting easy shots inside the rim, high percentage shots, and they're finishing theirs. And when you can't get stops, I mean, we're not able to get into a really good flow on offense. Our movement on offense is slow. We're taking too much time to get the ball up the floor. And then when our offense is ineffective, then it bleeds into your defense. You're not allowed to set up your zone. You can't go 2-2-1. You can't, and in game 2, we really made them start their offense very late in the clock. those types of things. I mean, they're all connected. So I don't know if there's one solution. I think honestly, the easy thing to say, just play better, and all that
Play
stuff
hard.
that we talked about. It's really a must win. You can't go down 3-1 to this team going back to Denver.
No.
You have to win game 4. And I think they'll show up, and I think they'll have better energy.
That's when they play better, this team of masochists. When it's backs against the wall and it's harder.
This always has to be done the hard way. And I'll just say
Always.
this Heat team would have it no other way. And also I'll say that who the hell are any of us to doubt that they can go in and they can get this done with adversity? They still have a game at home to get a decisive win, hopefully, and then head up to game 5. You never know what'll happen in Denver, and then you have another game back home. So, but they got to get this next one game at a time. I think they will respond, as we know from all the NBA final series that we've ever that we've been a part of. These things are a grind, a game over game, and it's the game within the game, and you never know what'll pop up next. And so I just encourage everybody, even though tonight was a tough loss and it looked like Denver outclassed Miami, Spo will adjust, the team will adjust, they will find ways to compete, and I look forward to them coming out and really setting the tone early and often in the next game. So let's keep our heads up and keep the guts flowing. Shout out to A Aggressive Insurance, Prize Picks.
We're doing questions.
Code 5.
Doing
Water Cleanup of Florida. Let's take 2-3 questions and then we'll jump up out of here real quick.
As Manny's throwing that up, I'm just looking at some of the quotes from Spo, and he pointed to 50-50 balls. Let me grab the quote real quick.
Oh yeah,
we're at our best when we're winning those battles first. You can just check that box. We've proven we can figure it out even if we're not making 70% of our shots in the paint or rim attempts. So kind of along the lines of what we've been talking about.
Denver out hustled them, and that's what Malone wanted, and they responded. So
it's always the team that's more desperate. Cullinan comes in and says, if the lineup lean a little bit more offense, like easier offense, it will give Jimmy Bam more energy on defense, especially Jimmy. And I think that they're trying to do that in certain ways. But it's just a balance in trying to also defend a really potent Denver, offense themselves. Another couple comments here, and we'll get out of here. As my chair just completely dropped as I'm talking. Here's
Vanilla
one, Brian.
Vanilla Wafers is 80% plus the winner of Game 3 win series. How the F did Jimmy and Bam? Did I just censor myself? We'll just keep it going. Did Jimmy and Bam not play the whole game? Terrible game. What was the Sedano stat that we had? Jorge Sedano said when tied 1-1 heading into Game 3, the Game 3 winner is just 3-4 in the series since 2011. Don't know how many of those are with the lower seed having stole one beforehand, whatever, and that kind of thing. But look, ultimately with the Heat, home court advantage doesn't mean shit. They lost their last 3 games at home and in the playoffs, and I don't think they're going to lose all of them at home, but it's really to say that this team, they can win on the road again. They're the only team to win in Denver in the playoffs so far. I think they can do it again.
Brian, I just got to hold you accountable. I know it's late, but how do you go into 1-1 going into Game 3 if the lower seed hasn't taken one yet?
What's the question? I'm like,
it's late.
Yeah.
I'll take this one. Mr. Fresco, Spo still resting Butler and Bam for the 8 minutes while Jokic and Murray just rest. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the minutes need to get up. I think they were both 40-41 tonight. I think it needs to be more 44-45.
44-45 time. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? If even you just adjust the way that the subs are going, maybe Bam plays the whole first quarter instead of Jimmy coming out early, maybe you adjust that part, but I think that's a great point.
Well, we appreciate everyone joining us. We'll have you covered leading up to Game 4, and they are going to get that one. I feel good about this series. I still think that they have a clear shot of winning the NBA championship. So everybody, guts. I need everybody to keep the guts alive, and we'll have you covered. Thank you for joining us. Peace out, Brian, Sean, Manny on the 1s and 2s. Peace out. And it's a tough loss, but Jimmy and those boys, Spo and those boys, they'll cook up some adjustments and be back. Good night.